Do you need a new phone? Most likely the answer for you is yes, but on quotes. If you're watching this video, you're already contemplating it. Be realistic. You're already contemplating it most likely than not. That means you perhaps are getting quite uncomfortable with your current device, but what you might need might not necessarily be a new phone, but rather a better one. Or if you're someone whose decisions, your tech choices are solely made on the basis of fashion or the current trend, this is where you might want to stop watching this video, because there will be no convincing you not to shell out every single ad-end penny that you can afford right now to go get the latest brand in town. Or if you prefer function over fun, you're the right place, amigo. Stick with me. Let's dive into it. Before we delve further into two questions I like telling people to answer by themselves before choosing their next device, which will literally be the main focal point of the guide on whether you need a new phone or not, I would like to clear out some things. There are some things I would advise and make extremely plain to creators on a budget before making decisions. Is the fact that latest doesn't always mean the best. The latest device is not the best device per se. Smartphones are categorized into three financial options, one would say. We have the flagship devices, the high-end devices, we have the mid-range devices, and we have the low-end devices. The low-end devices are such that I would never advise for creators, any size. The mid-range devices, some of them can be made useful, can be done with by lightweight users, lightweight creators. The high-end devices is necessary for intensive users. Now, latest is not always best in the sense that the most recent mid-range device, let's say Samsung Galaxy A series device, the most recent of them, is nowhere near being as good as the high-end device, the flagship Samsung Galaxy S device from the generation before it, perhaps S24, or you can even go as far back as S22, S23. They would be better on any level of comparison to the most recent mid-range Samsung Galaxy A series device. Now, with that out of the way, another thing that I always advise creators to have is have a battery pack, aka power bank, right? And also make sure that you have a cooling fan. This one is the one that is not rampant amongst most people, but what many do not know is chipsets are like the most important things when it comes to the way your phone processes data and your phone handles day-to-day tasks and the heavy tasks. And they are very prone to eating up easily when they do a work they can handle normally for long hours or like a long period of time. They really start eating up, and when they eat up, their performance level drops. But if you can mitigate how badly they would eat up by having a phone cooler attached to your device, you can actually try to get something very close to the optimal performance that would give on the norm if they were at a balanced temperature. Now, with those out of the way, when you're thinking of getting a new device, you need to have two things in mind as a creator on a budget. Who are you and who are your audience? Now, when it comes to who are you, you need to identify if you're a lightweight user or you are a heavy user. If you're a lightweight user, that means you most likely than not don't use your phone for much apart from the basic tasks. The basic task being things like making a call, sending a text message, like surfing of the internet. All you really do aside from that is some little video recording here and there. You on most days probably do not even do any editing of those videos, you just post them because kind of content is like real life lifestyle. Not much post-processing is needed for the kind of audience that you've built over time. Your little audience, but your audience. Now, if you're a heavyweight user, like you really do use your phone, that means you're perhaps a gamer and perhaps someone who games and tries to live stream at the same time with the device, or you're a live streamer and a video editor that does long hours of creating and editing content on your phone, then you would need a device that has a much more capable chipset than someone who is using their phone for lightweight tasks. And when you've identified the kind of person you are, it will be awesome to also identify your audience. And for creators on a budget, most would fall under this category of people with audience that do not really have the resources to demand so much from you, in the sense that you don't need to go overboard and ignore some other things that you should also indulge with your little budget for just buying the latest device. Because the latest device means maybe you try to stroke your ego by claiming that you're just trying to make sure that you push out like 4K videos to your audience. And for meanwhile, your audience can't watch 4K videos because your audience is like a projection of the kind of person you are over time. Like minds are the ones that really become your core recurring viewers. Now, like minds most likely have like resources, some less and some a little bit more. Not all devices can watch videos on 4K, and even some devices that can watch videos on 4K would have users whose broadband connectivity are either slow or capped in some ways that makes them feel like, why should I watch video on 4K, or makes it incapable for them to even watch video on 4K. So you do your best to shoot out 4K videos. Perhaps that's the reason why you bought the latest iPhone. You went over and beyond for it. Oh, cinematic mode and go. But the people you send in those contents to can't watch it. They can't see it. They go ahead to still watch those videos in 720p. Some don't even watch full HD. They do not watch it at 1080p or 1080p 60 FPS. No, they don't. Some watch at 40, 480p or something like that because of the limited resources they have. Because by default, even the people with quite tangible resources would be more than okay with watching on 1080p, no matter how big the phone screen size is. The only people that would want to watch in even 2K, not 4K, would be the people watching your content on TV. So when you've identified that as a creator on a budget, you really don't need to shell out more than 1080p on most days, and maybe sometimes 2K if necessary. For maybe some you really just want to go hard on the content, that particular episode or that particular series or something. Yeah, it will make you realize that you really do not need the latest. You just need a capable device that is quite more capable than the current one that is making you feel uncomfortable. And my suggestions in those cases, if you are a lightweight user, and if you're a lightweight user, sorry, and you are on Android, you are okay with any device that has a Snapdragon 864 chipset in it at least. Now, in the case of Samsung, that will be advising you to use not less than S20, right? And S21 will be more than okay for you as a lightweight user. As an heavyweight user, you're good with S22, S23. You don't necessarily need S24 and S25. And even S21 Ultra would work perfectly for you as an heavyweight user, like as described earlier. Now, if you are on the iPhone side, I would suggest, if you're a lightweight user and you just don't want to hold back any longer, because seriously, if you're a lightweight user and you have an SR or you have an iPhone 11, you're good. Or if you just want to upgrade already, I would suggest an iPhone 12 Pro, 128 gig. Now, the reason why I would suggest something like that is in specific is 128 gig actually helps you to spend more time not worrying about storage options or configurations or expansion in any way at all. Because if you have anything less than 120 gig, you will have 64. Or you bought a device that has 32, which is rare these days. But 64 gig will leave you easily getting pressed for storage and trying to explore options like cloud storage or any external storage pack, which would defeat the purpose of being and acting smartly on the budget. Because then you have to pay for extra storage and all of that when you could have just been when you could have tried not to be penny wise and pound foolish, right? And I would choose the 12, right? On the basis of that's about when iPhone started using, it's already 8 minutes plus this video. That's about when iPhone started using the 5G in their phones, right? So it gives you room not to feel pressed for new technologies to upgrade anytime soon, even though 4G LTE is still very much capable right now. But when you have an iPhone 12, you have the access to 5G. And also, you also know that you're going to be getting software updates much more longer than some other iPhones before you that are getting discontinued soon. And the chipset is way more than enough for a lightweight user. It is quite very capable. It is very capable, not just quite very capable. It's as capable as Android chipsets that were developed years after it. I'm talking Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 kind of chipset. Just that particular chipset gets heated easily. It really gets hot easily. That's where the phone cooler I discussed about earlier comes in, and it helps you mitigate issues that might want to arise from the chipset getting really, really, really hot. And for the everywhere users, now the reason why I would specify making sure that you are 5G safe, you are storage safe, and all of that is when you're making these choices of changing devices, try to get the best bang for your buck. So you don't end up in less than a year or thereabout wanting to make another change because you notice, you're lacking this particular speed or you're lacking this particular space. Now, if you're a heavy user, I would suggest iPhone 14 Pro. Now, the reason why I would suggest iPhone 14 Pro is because of the better chipset, right? I think iPhone 14 Pro has A15 Bionic. Well, why am I not suggesting the 14 and I'm suggesting the 14 Pro instead? Is the best bang for buck when it comes to elevating to that extent will come from the 14 Pro upwards, because that's when you get dynamic island as opposed to the notch. That's it's what you get with the iPhones below it. The 14 does not have dynamic islands. So off the top of my head, you can fact check me though, but I'm pretty sure the dynamic island starts for the 14 Pro. So a very strong chipset that can actually handle the heavy usage, and at the same time the most recent feature possible that can actually help you stay not worrying about changing your device anytime soon. This can also be applied to other devices, because if you're not using the iPhone yet, you're using Android, and like I stated earlier, just need to look out for the kind of chipset I stated earlier. If you're going to be choosing outside of Samsung, are you a lightweight user? Take note of going for nothing less than a 65, or I think a 64 Snapdragon chipset. Are you a heavyweight user? Look for nothing less than 888. It's Gen 1 Snapdragon chipset, and you'll be more than good to go. And none of those options necessarily mean you need to buy the latest phone, spending a whole lot of money, and it leaves you with a room to explore devices that are now being phased out, so you can actually get them on budgets. You can actually get some of them being sold at discounts, or they are out on clearances and stuff like that. And basically, with that said, that's about the end of this video that I've recorded for like 20 times now, trying to make sure that I don't say a lot. I'm trying to truncate it, but I just can't. It just starts to be long no matter what. So that's about it. I hope to see you in the next video, perhaps maybe with a new phone. But even without a new phone, I hope to see you with a smile, rocking the current one you use, understanding that it's perhaps very much very good for you. Ciao.